The movies The Battle of Algiers and L'America are both politically significant movies, criticizing the actions of colonialism by Western countries in the past and present. In these films, the directors chose to use different styles and views to get their point across. Gio Pontecorvo, the director of The Battle of Algiers, made the choice of using documentary-style images without any characters that are really developed well. Even though the events are mostly shown through the viewpoint of the FLN, Pontecorvo manages to incorporate some ambiguity using stylistic and narrative methods. Gianni Emilio's L'America is told through the use of a narrative with main characters the audience gets attached to. Emilio criticizes Italy on two events: when Italy invaded Albania during the fascist times and the exploitation by capitalist Italy in poor Albania. In many ways, Pontecorvo has told the Battle of Algiers from the point of view of the FLN, starting the story of the battle with Elie Lapointe running from the French police, turning radical when he sees an Algerian man being decapitated. We see how the FLN sets things in motion, from shooting police officers to preparations before big bombings. Pontecorvo makes his audience care for the Algerians and the cause they are fighting for, using the close-up to convey emotions. There is one sequence in which the close-up is used to evoke empathy by the audience for the French. When the Algerian women are about to bomb the three public spaces, we see close-ups of the French citizens that were going to be killed, and after the bombing, the same music plays as after the bombing of the Algerian citizens. We realize that not just the Algerians had innocent citizens that became victims, but the French did as well. The most important feature of the film that adds to ambiguity is found in the character of Colonel Mathieu. This is the only French character that we get to know on a deeper level than we do any other French characters. The first time we see him is the first scene of the movie, in which we get to know him as an unfamiliar authority figure. We see him again in the middle of the film, and this time he's introduced formally with a voiceover.
Mathieu Philippe, né le 5 août 1907 à Bordeaux. Grade lieutenant-colonel. Campagne, Italie et Normandie. Membre d'un mouvement de résistance.
These facts about Mathieu make the audience immediately sympathetic to the leader. We respect his authority, and learning about his approach to bringing down the FLN organization makes the audience more understanding of the French side in the battle and that they didn't want to hurt any Algerian citizens. Pontecorvo has made the interesting choice to parallel the fictional character of Mathieu to the character of Ben Mehidi, who was based on the real FLN leader, Ben Mehidi. In their leadership, they both realized the importance of the support of the people to achieve their goals. This is made clear in the scene in which Mathieu talks to the journalists, telling them he relies on them to win the battle because he needs the French population on his side. Ben Mehidi tells Elie Lapointe that terrorism is just the first step. After that, it's up to the people. This similarities in leadership by opposing characters brings a certain respect for both sides. They are acting purely out of interest in their own country. L'America is different from the Battle of Algiers in the way that it is told. We follow the journey of main character Gino, who is Italian. Even though we sympathize with an Italian in the film, criticism on Italy is the biggest theme in the movie. Starting off with a propaganda fascist film from the 1930s, Emilio draws a parallel between this event and the one we see happening in the movie in the 90s. In both cases, the Italians promise the Albanians a better life, and in both cases, the Albanians welcome the Italians with open arms, excited for the promises. They both have a sad ending too. A long period of communism and poverty followed the fascist era, and L'America ends with Albanians on their way to Italy. We as Westerns know that a better life isn't waiting on them there. In the 30s, a lot of Italians left for the United States in hope of a better life. In the 90s, Italy becomes to Albania what was America to Italy, the place in which everyone could find freedom and wealth. The exploitation era is the fascist era. Italy uses the country with the promises they can't keep. Emilio uses only Italian main characters, and it's through these character story that we learn about Italy's past and present and former criticisms. Spiro teaches us about the consequences of fascist occupation, being a political prisoner in communist Albania. Gino's journey teaches us about Italy in the present, exploiting the poor country. He goes from being the rich Italian coming in to set up a cheap factory in Albania to becoming an Albanian, and in this way realizing what it means to exploit a country that is already experiencing a lot of poverty. These movies, even though both criticizing Western countries for their colonialism, differ in the ways this criticism is depicted. In the Battle of Algiers, both France and Algeria are represented by showing both sides. sides. Criticism on France, however, is mainly depicted through the viewpoint of the Algerians. In L'America, Italy is being criticized from the viewpoint of Italy. If told from the point of view of Albania, we would probably see an entirely different movie. Because in L'America, we see that the Albanians constantly admire the Italians, and their belief is that Italy promises a better life. From a Western point of view, we know that Italy is only using Albania for cheap labor, and there is no better life for them in Italy.